All right, with that, let's move on now to our person of interest. Now, today we are joined by Priya Arora. She's the author of Rama, the Man of Dharma, a captivating retelling of the Ramayana. Now, in Rama, Man of Dharma, Priya brings alive Valmiki's ancient Sanskrit epic in lucid English, clarifying modern misconceptions about Ram's action. She also portrays Rama as an sort of, a person who's sort of giving out lessons from the Upanishads and demonstrating the paths to enlightenment through conscious, selfless action.
She is herself, of course, a spiritual enthusiast, and she's delved deeply in this book into India's rich heritage, promoting Vedanta's philosophy of universal peace and oneness. She's an Oxford grad herself. We'll talk a little bit about that. Priya's journey into the world of spirituality began with her Indian roots, and she's in the US right now, and it's from there that she's written this book. Her interest in Vedanta led her to actually go ahead and learn Sanskrit, and we're going to ask her about all of this, how she decided to do that. She's joining us right here on the show to share with us why and how she went on this journey. Let's just go over to her to understand more. Priya, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on the show. Priya, tell us, you live in the US. We were just telling our audiences this. What about the Vedanta philosophy in general first gripped you and made you go, this is the thing that I want to devote my life to?
I really planned to write this book. The book just happened, and it happened as a result of a spiritual journey. That spiritual journey started for me about 12 years ago when I went to the Ramakrishna mission here in Berkeley, and I attended a lecture on the Bhagavad Gita. And the reason why that lecture had such an impact on me is because I have a challenging situation in life with parenting a special needs child. And at that time, I was in a state of real anxiety, actually. And the lecture spoke to me because it's the Bhagavad Gita, we think of it as a religious book. It's not a religious book. It is a book on how to handle problems in life. It's about your mindset. It's about your outlook. And once you fix your outlook on life, you can handle any problem. And my journey began that way.
Yeah. That's fascinating, actually, and totally resonates with so many of us who find more answers and to daily life questions in these scriptures as well. But the original script was in Sanskrit. What was your process of sort of figuring out how to contextualize it in the modern day world?
What I did is I realized along my journey that I needed to learn Sanskrit, because without Sanskrit, honestly, you cannot really appreciate any of these texts. So I'm still learning it. It's a long journey. But the good thing was I was able to read the Sanskrit and the English. And when I did that, I got a far better understanding of what the text was trying to communicate. Because, a translation comes between you and the original text. It's not direct. So I would tell people, if you can, read the original text. Even over my book, read the original text. But what I try to do is for those who don't want to read the original text, that, it's quite voluminous. It's 24,000 verses. And translations are kind of tough to read. They don't flow. So what I've tried to do is just bring the essence of the original text to a contemporary reader in a manner that they would enjoy reading. This is like you read any other book. You read a Harry Potter, you read Lord of the Rings, and you enjoy reading it.
Can you tell us, Priya, we have the book here, and we just wanted to ask you a little bit about how you resolve some of the central dilemmas in the book. So, a dilemma that I know a lot of younger women have when they're reading the story of Ramayana is the fact that he chose to separate from Sita. at a very crucial time after, she'd been brought back from Lanka. And I just want to ask you, the logic that's given behind it is that it's the will of the people, and Lord Ram, as a ruler, had to also listen. He was a democratic ruler. He had to follow the will of the people. But that has never quite sat right with me. And I know a lot of younger women that we speak to. So how did you resolve that?
It's a good point that people raise this. The one thing I want to say is the beauty of our Sanatana Dharma is that you should ask questions. It's not like you shouldn't ask questions. Why did you say that? How dare you ask that? No, you must ask questions. You know why? Because when you have questions, the next step is doubt resolution. And once you have doubt resolution, then you have real conviction. And so questions are good. So coming to this question. So we in today's world don't think of dharma in the real way of what dharma means. We think of morality and what you should do as black and white. This is right, that is wrong. And life's not like that. Life is full of gray. Very rarely, you see in our own lives, you don't always choose between right and wrong. Sometimes you have to choose between two things that are equally right. And you are that's what they call a catch-22 situation. You're like, do I do this or do I do that? Both are right. Now, dharma handles that. So I need to explain the concept of dharma a little bit. There's no English word for it because it's a non-translatable word. But basically, if I have to explain what dharma is, I would say it's the right action depending on the context. That is for the good of the many, not for your personal good, but for the general good.
Right. Now that is an elaborate concept and perhaps asks for an elaborate read of the book as well. But the other question, Priya, that one has is that these books were written back in the day when life was very different. People were very different. What are some of the practicing lessons that can perhaps be related to dharma even in today's 21st century AI-driven world?
It's a long journey. It doesn't happen overnight, and it requires continuous practice. But what it really is, in a nutshell, is you have to expand the vision of yourself. See, most of our anxieties are because we are thinking of ourselves, our identity is limited to this body and this mind. If your identity is limited to your body and mind, then anything that affects your body and mind will get you bent out of shape. Absolutely, it will. But if you expand your identity and think of yourself, and I'm going to speak a little philosophy here, in Vedanta, you don't think of yourself as just this body. You think of yourself as a cosmic being. You are that eternal spirit. You are the consciousness. You are that power which is in everything.
Priya, you said something before, we were on air like this when we were talking to you a little bit for research, and you said dharma requires intelligence. And I thought that was very beautiful, and I wanted you to explain what you mean when you say that to our viewers.
That's the great thing, about our Vedanta, is it doesn't require your obedience. It requires your intelligence. To be a dharmic person requires exercise of intelligence. In fact, if you have 2 seconds, there's a beautiful, beautiful Sanskrit Subhashita, and that is these are great sayings. And it says, and I'll say it in Sanskrit and I'll explain it to you. It says, Yasya nasti swayam pragya shastram tasya karoti kim lochanabhyam vihinasya darpana kim karishyasi. So what it's saying is that if you do not use your own intelligence, what use are the Shastras to a person who's just a follower? It's no use. It's as useless as a mirror is to a person without eyesight. If you're blind, a mirror is of no use to you. So these Shastras, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, they're all Shastras, huh? The Puranas, the Vedas, all these are our Shastras because we have a library, not a book, right? So this whole library of knowledge that you have